Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 317 for October 10th, 2023. I am your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, it was Thanksgiving weekend up in Canada. The Arena Football League announced a number of new teams, and running back Jonathan Taylor signs a big contract extension to stay with the Indianapolis Colts. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
Yeah, one of these weeks we'll go and say the referees finally didn't make any bad calls, but oh boy, I got some thoughts on some bad refereeing during some of these NFL games, and
It's
then
part of the game, I
it
guess.
shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
And definitely got some thoughts on some arena football stuff we'll talk about later.
Okay, very good. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. We also want to keep a close eye on where our listeners are. Now, last week, we asked folks to let us know what country, state, or city you lived in, and we knew we had folks in Australia, England, Japan, and Canada who listened to us, and we heard from a couple of listeners this past week. We heard from Leonard, who says he lives in Silver Springs, Maryland, but he's originally from Edinburgh, Scotland. Thank you, Leonard.
Is this the same Leonard that's been got the best picking percentage in our weekly picks
I
as of
believe
last
it is.
week?
I believe it is.
All right, Leonard, I'm watching you, bud.
We hate you, Leonard, for being such a good picker. Let's see. We heard from Dave, who's in Orillia, Ontario, which is on the shores of Lake Simcoe, north of Toronto, and it's the home of Gordon Lightfoot.
How brave of you to decide to say all those names that you probably said incorrectly. You'll get corrected.
No, I'd never heard of Lake Simcoe, but if you look on a map, it's a huge, huge lake north of Toronto. I'd never seen it before on a map.
Is it as huge as the Great Lakes? I think not.
It's pretty darn big. It may not be great, but it's pretty darn big.
Well, I'm sorry, Dave, but we still got the Great Lakes. Your Lake Simcoe ain't got nothing on our lakes.
And finally, we heard from Royce, who it's going to take me a minute to pronounce this name here.
Tualatin?
Tualatin, that's how it is. Tualatin, Oregon, which is just south of Portland. So Thank you, Royce, for chiming in, letting us know where you're at. So yeah, we can add Toronto, Ontario, we knew, Silver Springs, Maryland, Oregon. We've got folks all over the place. We're going to keep doing this for a couple of weeks and see who else we can find and where they're at, and give you a shout out and thank you for listening to us. Also, last week, I was interviewed on a podcast called Historically Speaking Sports, hosted by Dana Auguster. We got to talk about the Lions' success so far this year and what it's been like for me being a Lions fan for the past 45 years.
I couldn't wait just 1 week after that big win this last weekend. He could have really got you on a good day.
Well, he contacted me last Monday, and we talked on Tuesday. It was a lot of fun talking to him. I'd never met him before, but we did it through Zoom, so I got to see him, and we had a nice little conversation. In fact, we got to listen to that podcast on our way home from Aaron's wedding in Kentucky.
Right.
Yeah, we listened to that in the van as we were driving, so that was pretty good.
Yeah, well, I was making the 9-hour drive. You're welcome.
Yeah, well, your mom did a little bit of driving on the way down. I did the rest of the driving that day, and you did all the driving going home. Doing your best Mario Andretti impersonation as you were passing everybody on the road, it seemed like.
All right, this is a message for the states of Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana. Why is your speed limit not 70? Get your heads out of your butts. I am completely bamboozled why those states have such terrible speed limits.
It's weird. You in Michigan, it's like 70 everywhere, and as soon as you hit the state line to get into Indiana, it might be 70. It might be
there's
55,
a couple spots of 70.
It might be 65. It's all over the place, and every state was like that. You go through areas where it was 55 miles an hour. Oh my gosh,
Man,
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, terrible. Get your guys' stuff together. That was terrible going through your states. As gorgeous as some of that scenery was.
Yes. And we had a good time at the wedding.
Yeah, it was good. Tennessee was gorgeous.
Yes. All right. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the description of both the podcast and the YouTube video, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel with the handle at the World of Football, as well as other selected videos like a new episode of Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast with you and your brother-in-law Kyle.
Yep.
It was the Week 5 version where you talked about the Panthers game.
Yep, our 10th episode overall. I'm shocked that Kyle's made it 10 episodes. I told him that. I wasn't sure how long he'd last, but he's made it 10 episodes.
He's getting better all the time.
He is getting better, and I'm not going to say he's going to make it up to the major league levels of this podcast, but he's doing fine. And yeah, if you want to see Kyle pulling out another stunt, go check that out.
Yeah, that's what your mom said. Who was that masked man? That was her comment on it. You'll have to watch the video to figure out what we're talking about. Let's see. We've also got our weekly picks video coming up tomorrow.
Yep. Oh, and last week, oh boy, that might be the roughest week of picking.
Everybody had a rough week.
I saw what all of our guest pickers did, or all the YouTube pickers did.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't looked at mine. I definitely didn't look at yours or Aaron's yet, so I'm very nervous because I know I did not do good.
Almost everybody was right around 500 for the week. A couple people did a little bit better, but not by much.
Yeah.
And a couple were under 500. So
yeah, probably me. I've already got a gut feeling I was one of those under 500s. But I digress.
Yeah. But no, that'll be coming out tomorrow. We'll be recording that tomorrow, and hopefully you'll get that up tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. I would prefer to record tonight, but
Yeah,
we kind of work around Aaron's schedule.
It's been a weird week with the wedding last weekend and all. Just kind of really got me bamboozled on all this stuff going on. All right, so let's begin today's show with Adam, and we're going to start off with the World of Football scoreboard.
That's right. It was week 5 in the NFL this past weekend. It might be some of the most topsy-turvy results we've, at least according to our picks, we didn't see coming.
Yeah,
and it started with the Chicago Bears getting their first victory on Thursday Night Football against the Washington Commanders, taking in a 40-20 victory over Washington. Look, Justin Fields, I'll say it, he looked good, but throwing for 50% and against one of the worst defenses I've ever seen, can't be that hard to complete that much. Get 4 touchdown passes, and it didn't. It helped him a lot that DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Bears, had, 8 catches for 230 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. So DJ Moore had himself a day. And I think he did most of the work whenever getting the ball. So he looked great. And the Bears get their first win. So you get that off, you get off that streak that's been going back since last October.
Yeah, it was like a 14-game losing streak.
Yeah, 14-game losing streak. They haven't won since Elon Musk bought Twitter.
Ooh.
Yeah. People were pointing out that every sports franchise in the United States has gotten a win except for the Bears since Elon Musk bought Twitter. So that was a fun joke that now we have to put away. But now it's not a joke for the Washington Commanders as, boy, oh boy, what happened to them? Just letting that up, and now questions will be swarming Ron Rivera and some of his decision making.
Yeah, I thought Washington would put up a better fight. I could see where Chicago might have squeaked a win out of that one, but
Chicago walked away with that one from the get-go. They just were determined.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of determined, over in London, the Jacksonville Jaguars got their second straight win in London. I think that's the first time that's ever happened.
Could be.
But they got a 25-20 victory over the Buffalo Bills. I know the Jags jumped out to like an 11-0 lead at one point, and we were all just scratching our heads like, I thought the Bills would show up.
Yeah.
I was almost joking that I think that the Jags had a little bit of an advantage being there a week.
Sure, yeah.
And I don't want to say that was why, but clearly it took Buffalo a while to get kind of rolling. And when they did, it was like too little too late. Buffalo would score, get within 4 points, but then it seemed like Jacksonville had an answer. Jacksonville would be like, we probably should get down in the end zone too. And Travis Etienne, the running back for the Jaguars, looked great. Trevor Lawrence has been a very solid, very reliable quarterback for them. I think he had a couple of bad mistakes, but they overcame them and got that victory. So,
well, I think that had to be a bit of an advantage being there for 2 weeks. You didn't have the jet lag. You're all over that. I think in some way that was a bit of an advantage. Whether that was the difference in this game, I don't know.
I don't think it was the difference in the game because I think if you're any professional football team, it doesn't matter when you play. you go and you show up and you play.
Mm.
Should be no excuses around that, unless like you're in a blizzard and you're delayed till like up till kickoff. But other than that, I just don't think there's an excuse, and it just looked like the Buffalo Bills came unprepared. Like I said, it took them a while to even look like any semblance of an offense. It took Stephon Diggs, wide receiver, looked like he had to get that team rallied a little bit, and then they started acting like the Buffalo Bills we kind of expected and slinging it down the field. But that Jacksonville Jaguars team, I mean, we saw the way they finished last season, and I think they showed here. I won't say this is a turnaround game for them, but I think this is a game that's going to help them trend back in the right direction, I think, and the Jaguars will be a team to watch out for the rest of the season. All right, we're going to move on to the 1 o'clock slate of games from Week 5. The Houston Texans fell to the Atlanta Falcons 21-19 on a last-second field goal there by Younghoe Koo. I mean, what can we say about the Texans? I mean, yeah, they lost this game, but C.J. Stroud, that rookie quarterback, has looked absolutely sharp. I've been very impressed with the way that rookie has been kind of handling everything down there. And the Falcons, I wasn't sure what kind of team they had. I don't know if Calvin Ridley, if their quarterback Desmond Ridder is the answer down there.
Yeah.
But I mean, they did another cool thing. I don't know if you saw this highlight, but the Falcons did another one of those aerial view slow motion videos where Bijan Robinson got like a pitch pass and like got into the end zone. I thought that's one of the coolest things they got going for
him. He grabbed it off his hip or something.
Yeah,
and he almost fumbled it.
Such a cool
I did
video.
see that. That was pretty cool.
I've been digging the Falcons doing that Skycam replay. All right, moving on. The Detroit Lions kept the Carolina Panthers winless as they got the 42-24 victory over those Carolina Panthers. Rookie quarterback. Why am I blanking on his name all of a sudden?
Can't think either.
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young, yes.
Bryce Young. He threw 3 touchdowns during the game. I think he looked good, but the key thing there is 2 interceptions, including a glorious interception by defensive lineman Aiden Hutchinson, who has now got 4 interceptions as a defensive lineman in, what'd they say, 20-something games, which is more than Sauce Gardner, more than Trayvon Walker, who was picked right before Hutchinson, more than other guys who've been picked around Hutchinson. So Hutchinson having more than Sauce Gardner is impressive. And Hutch has just been playing out of his mind, and I don't know if he's getting all the recognition he deserves for what he's been doing.
Well, a lot of teams have been, of course, double teaming him and scheming against him, and he's still getting the pressure on the quarterback. And then finally, he just wears him down, and he'll get the sack or he'll get the
now he's getting
interception. Yeah. He's fun to watch.
He is so great to watch. I'm very excited, and I already talked to death about the Lions' victory. Any thoughts from you about this Lions' victory?
No, it was nice. I expected them to win, but we talked that this might be a trap game last week, where you've got a team that's 0-4 coming in. You're playing real well. That's the kind of game that Detroit has historically not played well in, but they just showed that they're a different team this year, and they may lose a game here and there, but they're definitely in the conversation this year, and I'm happy to see that.
All right. Well said. And then we're going to move on. The Indianapolis Colts got the victory over the Titans 23-16. The Colts did lose rookie quarterback, Anthony Richardson, a shoulder injury. Sounds like he might be out for a week. I think Gardner Minshew is going to fill in for him this week, and we'll see how long that injury is. You hate to see that because I think Richardson and C.J. Stroud have been 2 just absolutely great rookies to watch this year. Nothing against Bryce Young. Bryce Young still got, I think he looked decent, not great, but you always hate to see a young quarterback like that with a lot of promise and excitement around him get hurt. And I think this is a second injury or third injury this season so far. Wow. So we'll see. I think the Colts got something special. They just got to keep him upright. All right. The Miami Dolphins got a 31-16 victory over the New York Giants. Anything from this one for you?
No.
All right. Then the New England Patriots, 2 weeks in a row now, 2 of Bill Belichick's worst losses of all time. This is definitely the biggest home loss for Bill Belichick, and a 34-0 just shellacking by the New Orleans Saints over those Patriots. That's 2 weeks in a row now. 35 points last week they lost by. This week, 34 points, and to hang up a goose egg at home.
Yeah,
I thought Bill Belichick would bounce back, but do the Patriots have more problems than we thought
I think they do. He's a great coach, but I just don't think he has a lot to work with right now. Maybe it might take another draft or 2 to get this team back to where they used to be. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know if he could turn it around. I'm definitely jumped off they'll bounce back next week bandwagon. We'll have to wait and see. I got to
Yeah.
see the proof in the pudding first. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers got a win over the Ravens 17-10 in a very low scoring game there, as those games traditionally tend to be. I think somebody said in their last however many meetings, nobody's scored over 20 points. So not a shock there that it was a 17-10 come from behind win for the Steelers. The Cincinnati Bengals seemed like they got back on the right track with a 34-20 victory over the Arizona Cardinals out in the desert. Joe Burrow slinging it like Joe Burrow does. He looked good.
Yeah, they looked a lot different than they had the last couple of weeks. I didn't give Cincinnati much of a
I
chance
didn't either.
to win that game. Arizona had been playing pretty good in recent weeks, but yeah, they looked like the old Cincinnati Bengals. So we'll see if they can keep that up. I don't know about that.
Well, we'll see. They got a tough game this week against the Seahawks coming off of a bye. All right, then the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Los Angeles Rams in LA 23-14 to remain unbeaten. They are one of two teams left unbeaten in the NFL. Then the New York Jets got revenge on the Denver Broncos 31-21 for those comments made during the offseason by Sean Payton talking about former head coach Nathaniel Hackett, who is now the offensive coordinator with the Jets, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard the story. I thought the Broncos would have a little more fight in them. I thought after Sean Payton cut his sleeves off that this is the turning point in the Broncos season, and I appear to be wrong. The Broncos still look like one of the worst teams in the league. The Jets, I mean, they're not far off, but I mean, I think the Jets still have a great defense, and that was probably a difference maker here. I mean, they definitely scooped and scored towards the end of the game after Russell Wilson fumbled that ball. So yeah, that Jets defense is not to be trifled with. But it's just a matter of can you get Zach Wilson to stay consistent. So at least he's got 2 weeks in a row. I think Zach Wilson looked all right.
Yeah, he might win a few games here and there this season, but that'll probably be about it. But Denver, I don't know, man.
Is it?
They're right there.
I already claimed. I forget what show we did it on. I think it was the picks. I said the Vikings. The Giants were done. Put a fork in them. Is it time to put a fork in the Broncos, or is it too early for them?
I don't know. Give me another couple weeks.
All right. Well, yeah, I'm not there for the Broncos yet to put a fork in them, but we'll see in a week or two. All right. Then the Kansas City Swifties got a 27-20 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Now, in this game, this is what I was alluding to earlier about officiating and just some bad calls. They called what was it? They first of all didn't call a pass interference call on the Chiefs, and then a player took his helmet off on the field and did not get flagged, and the referee just told him to put his helmet back on when that should have been an automatic flag.
Yep.
And then the story going around is, are the Chiefs getting preferential calls? Yep.
I think so.
It's right there.
Well, in the past, the Cowboys always got all the calls, or the Packers always got all the calls. There have been teams that have been favored. I mean, nobody can ever prove it, but I do believe that the league is favoring certain teams at certain times. And right now, it's probably Kansas City.
Yeah, it's just you hate to see it, especially when the whole internet's sitting there like, we all see this. Why is nothing being done about this? And this makes it even more apparent that the NFL needs to transition into a system much like the CFL, where all your reviews and all that stuff is done from a command center, and you have officials just like, nope, hey, flag that guy, helmet off, do it, like in and out. But then for some reason, like it's weird, like in some games, I was watching this weekend. You know, not that I saw a review, but it always feels like it takes forever for a review to take place. But then all of a sudden you're watching like Monday Night Football or Sunday Night Football, and they have expedited reviews that literally are in and out in 2 seconds. It's like, why is that not all the time?
Right.
Why is this not constant? Like, I was like, this game is moving, and they expedited that challenge or that review really quick. Where's that been across all these games? It just feels like I hate that it's always primetime games that get that kind of treatment. I get it. That's where everybody's watching. But, I mean, like, I would just like consistency across my officiating across the league. Like, if a Lions player takes his helmet off and gets flagged, well, then I would hope that a Chiefs player is going to get flagged for also taking his helmet off. Like, it should just be across the board. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of this conspiracy theory stuff, which right now, with the whole Taylor Swift thing, I think it's warranted.
And
it's clearly the league has got an agenda right now.
Right. And the official, well, I forgot where I was going on that one. But I did have a comment on Taylor Swift.
Oh.
She was not at the Kansas City game this week. And you know why?
Why?
Because it wasn't on national TV. It was
Oh,
only a local thing. She's been on 2 national TV games, and the next time Kansas City's on a national TV game,
this
she'll
Thursday.
be there.
It's this Thursday.
She'll be there. I'll bet you money she'll be there because it's national TV. Why would she show up when she can't get all the attention?
Well, why don't you check her tour schedule and we'll see what how that
She's
goes.
not touring right now, I don't
Well,
think.
she's getting ready to promote her big movie coming out. I think that's this week it comes out. All right, moving on. The San Francisco 49ers absolutely had their way with the Dallas Cowboys. Boo,
That was
friggity you.
so satisfying.
Oh, I love seeing the Cowboys take a thrashing like that. 42-10. The 49ers are clearly the best team in the
Oh,
NFL.
man. Yeah, I think.
They even stole a trick play from the Lions.
Exactly. Yeah, they must have been watching our games. Said, we can do that.
But I think, was it Travis Kelce did an interview where he said, we've had that play in our back pocket since week 8 of last year. And I guess maybe they saw the Lions do it and go, well, let's dust ours off and show them how it's done. But you look at those two replays side by side, and they are identical.
Right.
Down to throwing it to an Iowa tight end for a touchdown. Unbelievable. But, yeah, so the 49ers, they're clearly the best team in the league right now. They look hard to stop. Brock Purdy's undefeated as a starter in the regular season. What more can we say about the 49ers?
Yeah, they are looking really good, and as happy as I am with Detroit this year, the way they're playing, it's going to be tough to get past San Francisco.
San Francisco, I'm not going to say Detroit would beat them, but Detroit would at least, I feel like, give a much better fight than what those Cowboys did. I don't even know if Detroit could probably go toe-to-toe with the Cowboys and beat them. I think the Lions and Eagles, that would also be another tough one. I don't know if Detroit would win, but I think Detroit makes it a game. That's the difference here. Detroit's tough enough to at least make it a game.
Sure.
To where a couple things go Detroit's way.
Yep.
Watch out San Francisco, watch out Philly. But until those scenarios actually happen, I think you got to go Niners 1, Eagles 2. I know somebody will be like, oh, well, the Eagles are the defending NFC champions. Shouldn't they be the best team? No, they don't.
That was last year.
Hold on. A Washington Commanders team that just got thrashed by the Bears hung with the Philadelphia Eagles in their last game. So I'm more apt to pick the 49ers as the best team right now. I don't care. And even Kansas City, Super Bowl champions, they're even below those two teams right now. I would even put Kansas City a smidge under Detroit right now. I don't know what it is. Patrick, and I'm not just saying that because we beat them week 1.
Right.
Well, they didn't have Travis Kelce. I don't care. You play who you play and who's on the field at the time, and the Lions did what they had to do. And I just think right now, Kansas City's lack of wide receivers, I'm sorry. I don't trust them.
Yeah.
I mean, I trust Patrick Mahomes to make a play. I just don't know if I trust those Kansas City receivers as much as in years past. But they're still a good team. I think Kansas City is a hair under Detroit as of right now, but we don't do power rankings around here yet.
I don't want to get into that.
Well, I'll have to talk about that after the show because I have an idea. All right. And then on Monday Night Football, the Las Vegas Raiders got the victory at home against the Packers crowd, 17-13. That's right. That crowd was mainly Packers fans. And it felt like they were like, well, shoot, Detroit invaded our stadium. Let's go invade Las Vegas' stadium. Right. And
how'd that work out? How'd that work out for you?
Yeah, the Raiders came out with a win. What a couple of bad football teams. I was bored watching this game.
That was the second most satisfying game of the weekend. The first was the 49ers beating up on Dallas. The other was Las Vegas beating up on Green Bay. Well, I wouldn't say beat up. They beat them, defeated them. But yeah, that was so satisfying to see Green Bay. Green Bay's going to bounce back. Oh, they're going to do. No, they're not. I had a feeling they would not either.
Yeah, you're the only one that picked them in our picks, I think.
Yes, I was.
This week, so congratulations.
One other thing, going back to the Kansas City game, you talked about no calls and all this, the conspiracy. Have we heard anything from the NFL front office yet on this? About the helmet coming?
I haven't seen anything.
And you won't, because that's what the NFL does. If they do something wrong, they're never going to admit it. They're never going to talk about it. It never happened. So they're just going to shut up. You're never going to hear a thing from the league office.
Yeah,
that was the point I couldn't think of when I was because I had the Taylor Swift thing and I had that comment and I was wrestling with the two of them and I lost one.
Yep, and then on bye this week in the NFL, the Seahawks, Browns, Buccaneers, and Chargers.
Our first bye week of the season.
Yeah, so that's why there's so fewer games, but it still took us about half the show.
Yeah, really.
All right, and with that, we are going to move on to the Canadian Football League. It was Week 18 up there, not just any week 18. It was Thanksgiving weekend up in Canada. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our Canadian brethren up there.
You didn't see probably any of the Canadian games on TV.
No, but I was going to wish Royce and Dave, I hope you guys had a good
Yeah,
Thanksgiving weekend up
yeah,
there.
and Tim Capper.
And Tim Capper. Hey, Tim.
Yeah, he was at the Montreal game. But no, the crew that they have on the TSN broadcast, it was just like Thanksgiving here in the States. They had the big turkey on the set,
Nice.
and they were carving into it. Even at one of the games, the Monday game, they were carving it in the booth, you know. And they said, they're playing again. We got to start covering the game.
Oh.
But they were carving a turkey up there, and that was so cool to see.
Yeah, the only game I caught this weekend was on Friday night. The Toronto Argonauts defeated the Edmonton Elks 35-12. Toronto was up 18-11 at halftime. Argos even had starting quarterback Chad Kelly playing during this game. He completed 11 passes for 165 yards, no touchdowns. Then backup quarterback Cameron Dukes came in, had 2 rushing touchdowns. And then for Edmonton, Trey Ford, our favorite Canadian quarterback, I think right now, I mean, after Chad Kelly for me. But 19 passes, 220 yards, and a touchdown. He also ran for 47 yards, while Edmonton wide receiver Gavin Cobb had 4 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. And I thought Toronto, they were rocking some helmets that were like for the 150th anniversary of the team. It was like the team's birthday. They were celebrating that day.
Yep.
So they got the victory. That's probably why they played Chad Kelly, because also, they've already locked up home field. They don't need to throw their starter out there. But they looked great. Man, I was watching, and then all of a sudden they'd have a pick six. I think it was a pick six. They, that defense just looked, hungry, and poor Edmonton, that with the loss for Edmonton, that eliminated them from the playoffs. I was really hoping Edmonton would get that dark horse team to come back.
I don't know that they're technically eliminated yet.
They said during the broadcast they were eliminated.
Okay.
So
I know they got 4 wins, and so does Calgary, and Calgary's not eliminated, but probably through tiebreakers.
Could be tiebreakers, especially because Calgary's also got 1 less game right now since they were on bye this week. So. That probably didn't help.
Yeah, that's right. We were watching this game down in Kentucky.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Whatever. The night before the wedding.
It was the night after the wedding because it was Friday night. So it was the night of the wedding. We had gotten back. We were kind of just chilling, getting ready to leave the next day.
You're right.
Yep. You and I went out. We had dinner.
Sure. TGI Fridays, which we don't have around here anymore. We used to have one here in town. They tore it down because they built some hotels on that area. And so now we've got to go to Grand Rapids if we want a TGI Fridays, or we got to go to.
It just so happened we were looking at the
Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Yeah, we're down in Pigeon Forge. We're like looking down the strip there because there's a lot of places.
Oh yeah,
so many places.
Trying to figure out where we wanted to go eat.
We could have probably gone to a unique place, but for whatever reason, as we were going down, I'm like, you know what sounds good? A good flat iron steak from TGI Fridays will bring back a lot of memories. And you know what?
It was awesome.
I think it was a good decision.
It was.
It was a very good decision.
Golden Corral was the first one. We don't have one of those around here either. But yeah, TGI Fridays, good call.
Yep. All right, then on Friday, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the British Columbia Lions 34-26 in overtime. What a crazy ending to this game.
Man, it was.
British Columbia was up 20-10 going into halftime. And then the game ended up being tied 26 apiece at the end of regulation. And if you saw the highlights from this, it was just bonkers. Go ahead.
It's hard to explain the crazy ending of this game. So you need to go to CFL.ca, check out the highlights of this game to see what happened at the end. They almost won it in regulation, but the guy got tackled, just before the goal line, which had to go into overtime after that. But just a crazy ending. Go watch those highlights. I can't explain it. It was just too much fun.
It was so fun. Then Winnipeg outscored British Columbia in that overtime period 8-0. Quarterback Zach Collaros of the Blue Bombers completed 31 passes for 389 yards and 2 touchdowns, while kicker Sergio Castillo made 4 field goals. Then for British Columbia, quarterback Vernon Adams completed 19 passes for 352 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Dominique Rhymes had 5 catches for 107 yards, and kicker Sean White made 4 field goals. So Winnipeg holding strong there. But for British Columbia, it's not all bad news. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Right.
Then moving on, Saturday night saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeat the Saskatchewan Roughriders 38-13. Hamilton was up 25-9 at halftime. Ticats quarterback Matthew Schultz completed 16 passes for 271 yards and 2 touchdowns, while running back James Butler had 107 yards rushing, while wide receiver Tim White had 129 yards receiving. Saskatchewan quarterback Jake Dolagala completed 16 passes for 154 yards, no touchdowns, while running back Jamal Morrow had 120 yards rushing and a touchdown. Then on Monday, Thanksgiving itself up there in the great country of Canada.
Well, they were calling it Thanksgiving Monday.
When do they have their Thanksgiving?
Well, it was the whole weekend was Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's not a
I
one
think
day thing.
they officially celebrated it on Monday, but
Oh.
yeah, it was Thanksgiving.
I was gonna say. But anyway, the Thanksgiving game on Monday, the Montreal Alouettes defeated the Ottawa Redblacks 29-3. It was Montreal, all Montreal in this game.
Yeah.
Alouettes quarterback Cody Fajardo completed 28 passes for 272 yards and a touchdown, while wide receiver Jason Philpott had 90 receiving yards and a touchdown. Ottawa quarterback Justin Crum and Nick Arbuckle combined to complete 14 passes for 162 yards and no touchdowns in the loss.
Yeah, that was that game was all Montreal. I think.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of this. I got the alert from my YouTube TV app on my phone, so I was sitting there at work watching a little bit of it, and I think I might have even have been able to introduce Canadian football to a coworker because he walked by, he saw my phone, he goes, "What you watching?" I said, "Well, it's Canadian football. It's Thanksgiving up there." And he goes, "Oh, okay. Who's playing?" And I explained it to him, and then even today he came up and was like, "Oh, hey, I saw that the Montreal," because he just said the name weird. He's like Montreal. He said it in an accent. I saw they won. And I was like, yes, they did. I'm shocked that you actually went home to remember the score. Or maybe you watched it later. I don't know.
Yeah, Ottawa.
Hey, converting one person at a
That's
time.
Right, that's right. Ottawa didn't even get any points on the board till midway through the fourth quarter. I mean, this was just all Montreal. But yeah, and that's been a tradition the last couple of years. It's been Montreal and Ottawa on Thanksgiving Day Monday.
Yeah. And then on bye this week, the Calgary Stampeders. And now we're going to quickly look at the standings in the CFL as they inch ever so closely to the playoffs. Toronto in the East clinched that division with a 13-2 record. Montreal right behind them with a 9-7 record, clinching a playoff spot. And then Hamilton clinched the playoff spot with an 8-8 record. The Ottawa Redblacks now sit at 4-12 out of the playoffs. In the West, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who just got that victory, sit at 12-4 over the British Columbia Lions, who are 11-5. Both these teams have clinched playoff spots, but no matter what, both of these teams are going to get a home game, it sounds like, because British Columbia, despite the loss, did officially clinch a home playoff game. Now it's just a matter of, can British Columbia bounce back to clinch the West, or is Winnipeg going to keep a stranglehold on the West and have everything go through them? Then waiting to find out, will it be the Saskatchewan Roughriders at 6-10 to claim that last spot, or will it be the Calgary Stampeders at 4-11? They just had that bye. Will it be one of those two teams to snag up that final spot? And then the Edmonton Elks, as we talked about, at 4-12. During the broadcast, like I said, I don't know if it's official, but they said it eliminated them from the playoffs.
You're probably right. Yeah.
So, all right, and with that, we're going to throw it over to Randy, who's got some college football scores.
Oh, a plethora of college football scores. We're going to start at the FBS level. This was week 6. It was number 1 Georgia improving to 6-0, beating number 20 Kentucky 51-13. Number 2 Michigan also improved to 6-0 with a win over Minnesota 52-10. Number 3 Texas over number 12 Oklahoma 34-30. Ohio State improved to 5-0 with a win over Maryland 37-13. It was number 9 USC improving to 5-0, beating the Arizona Wildcats 43-41 in 3 overtimes. Let's see, number 25 Louisville improved to 6-0 with an upset of number 10 Notre Dame 33-20. UCLA upset number 13 Washington State 25-17. Georgia Tech upset number 17 Miami of Florida 23-20. And you have some thoughts.
Man, oh man, how did this happen? If you guys didn't catch this game over the weekend, I saw the highlight and I'm as dumbfounded as every other person who's got even 4 IQ points when it comes to how you play football. And at the end of this game, I don't think Georgia Tech had any timeouts. And for whatever reason, the University of Miami decided to keep running the ball. And lo and behold, they fumble the ball with like 20-something seconds left. Georgia Tech gets the ball back, marches down the field, 75 yards. So it was a great 50-yard pass eventually for the game-winning score for Georgia Tech to claim the upset victory 23-20. And what gets me, the coach couldn't even own up to making a bad coaching decision. He went as far as to say, well, we have to hold on to the ball. Why are you even running the ball with 30 seconds left when all you literally need to do is kneel it? That's my big question. But then he's scapegoating one of his players for his dumb coaching decision. I'm sorry, but if I was down there, if I was a fan of the University of Miami, this guy would be booted out of town for something stupid like this. You have a ranked team, you're having a great season, and to lose it like that on a dumb coaching decision, and then the coach turns around and blames a kid essentially, nah, get out of here with that trash.
Well, this, of course, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody say this, but this reminded me of the Miracle in the Meadowlands from many years ago when the Giants were losing a game. I think it was to Philadelphia. I'm not
Was
sure.
this in the movie Invincible?
No. But
Oh.
I want to say the quarterback was Joe Pisarcik, but that was the game where
Herm Edwards?
Herm Edwards picked up the ball and ran in for a touchdown, and all they had to do was kneel it, but they ran it. The handoff was messed up, and the ball was on the ground. Herm Edwards picks it up and ran it in for the winning score. So nobody's comparing this game to that one, but that's the first thing I thought
I'm
of.
sure some people have to have, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think more people are focused more on like the coach blaming the kid too. Like, it's just, how do you do that? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, I've played enough Madden in my day and watched enough football to know you just kneel it. Unless you're like purposely trying to go out there and just rub it in,
Right.
you don't do that.
Yeah.
So,
All right, let's continue with the scores. Number 23, LSU upset number 21, Missouri, 49 to 39. 49 to 39. Wyoming upset number 24, Fresno State, 24 to 19. Colorado over Arizona State, 27 to 24. Normally that was the game I would have watched, but we
were traveling, so we didn't get to catch
on
it
the
in
road all
Colorado.
day Saturday, so I didn't see any college football that day. Let's see. Mississippi State over our Western Michigan Broncos, 41 to 28. UAB over South Florida, 56 to 35. Kansas over UCF, 51 to 22. And Miami of Ohio shut out Bowling Green, 27 to nothing. In the military academies, it was Navy over North Texas, 27 to 24. And Boston College defeated Army by the same score, 27 to 24. Air Force, sits at 5-0 right now, did not play over the weekend. Now let's go to the FCS level, and from here on in, it's just a couple of random scores I picked out. Well, and this first one's going to be hard because I messed up that score. It must be 52 to 50. Webster over Chata, 52 to 50. I got 520 to 50.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, it was 52 to 50. And Harvard defeated Cornell 41-23. Harvard improves to 4-0 on the season. In Division II, it was West Virginia Wesleyan over Wheeling, 58 to 3, and Slippery Rock over Mercyhurst, 75 to 31. Slippery Rock improves to 6-0 this season. In Division III, Olivet College over Kalamazoo College, 42 to 14, and Wartburg shut out Luther, 54 to 0. Wartburg also improves to 6-0 on the season with that win. At the NAIA level, St. Francis of Indiana over Siena Heights, 42 to 28, and Southern Oregon over Rocky Mountain, 23 to 25. At the junior college level, it was Iowa Western over our beloved Snow College, 20 to 13, and Georgia Military shut out Lewisburg, 37 to 0. Going up to Canada, in U Sports up there, University of Toronto over York, 57 to 3, and Bishops over St. Mary's, 63 to 7. In the Canadian Junior Football League, it was the Valley Huskers over the Kamloops Broncos, 39 to 3, and the Okanagan Sun over Prince George Kodiaks, 73 to 10. And we also have a couple of scores from the X League in Japan, where our man from Japan, Greg James, lives. The Tokyo Gas Creators over, man, I practiced this name several times, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it again. Sagamihara. There you go. Sagamihara. The Sagamihara Rise, 20 to 13. Whew. And then the Kobe Finnies over the Tainai Deers. Well, not over them. They tied them by the score of 16 to 16. And that is it for this week's World of Football scoreboard from all around the world. All right. Oh, I guess I'm still talking, huh?
Yep.
NFL news.
Yeah, you do the NFL news too.
Wide receiver Chase Claypool gets traded from the Bears to the Dolphins. You were the one that brought this to my attention.
Yeah.
And is that a good trade?
Hard to say. With the Bears, he was not doing much. They were very aware of his lack of effort on a few plays, and the internet was very aware.
Okay.
He was like deactivated for a couple games, and they eventually made it clear that, yeah, we're not going to keep you.
Huh.
And they ship him out to Miami, where who knows if that'll be a good fit. I thought he was a good player before he got sent to Chicago. I don't think he's amounted much since that trade from the Steelers to the Bears. But we'll see. Now you're going down to a good Miami team with really good receivers in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and a Tua Tagovailoa that's, crushing it down there. So who knows? And we'll see if it revitalizes him, if working with Coach Mike McDaniels is what he needs to kind of get back on track. I would hate to see a talent like him just kind of fall into obscurity.
Yeah.
Kind of like what happened to former Lion turned New York Giant. Boy, why am I blanking on his name? You know what I'm talking about? Kenny Galladay.
Kenny Galladay. Yeah.
Not that Claypool got to Galladay levels for me, but we'll see. We'll see if the Dolphins can turn him around.
I didn't see what the Bears got for him in that trade.
Peace of mind.
Okay. I'm sure they got something, but
I'm sure they got. I can't remember the top of my head.
When I was looking,
usually whoever puts the script together would put in what they traded for, but they didn't do that.
Well, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Running back Jonathan Taylor agrees to a 3-year, $42 million contract extension with the Colts. $26.5 million of that is guaranteed.
They said, yeah, he was the first running back since 2020 to get paid over $10 million annually. So it's like the first big running back contract in a while, from what they were making it sound like. Look, I think Jonathan Taylor's a heck of a talent. Only been in the league a few years, and I get why he feels like he deserved some sort of contract. But I mean, all the huffing and puffing they did, the Colts weren't going to pay him and blah blah blah.
Didn't they sit him for a while too?
Well, he was hurt. He's been on the PUP list up until now.
That's right.
So it's like he came off the PUP list and signed his contract this past week.
Okay.
So
yeah, but there's a lot of talk that they couldn't get a contract. He wasn't going to stay. He didn't want to stay there. He was trying to get his own.
The Colts said they weren't going to pay him, and the two sides eventually reached an agreement, as what usually happens. Both sides stick out their chest, act like they're going to walk, when secretly they're like, I do want you. I just, let's work it out. But you throw it out in public and you make the other side look like the bad guy. And
yeah.
I don't know if that helped with, money and leverage and all that. But hey, he got paid. 3-year contract. I think that's a solid deal.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. All right. And this just came around today. Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson is placed on injured reserve for at least 4 games with a hamstring injury.
You hate to see
injured
it.
in that game yesterday.
You hate to see it.
Or Sunday.
Yeah. One of the, if not the best wide receiver in the league right now. He's been a heck of a player to watch. Had a lot of great streaks going, like consecutive games of 150 yards. The dude was just a freak athlete. When he kind of came into the league, I don't think people really thought much about him, but he slowly, I won't say slowly, he quickly became a talent that everybody talked about. He's just making great catches. Seems like a good kid. So you hate to see him out for even a little bit, but being a Lions fan, no offense, Vikings, but I'm not that upset.
Yeah. Well, we don't even play the Vikings till the last
I know. I was looking at
weeks.
the schedule to see if the Lions played the Vikings before this 4-week IR thing, and no, it'll be after he comes back. Right. So
it's like 2 out of the last 3 games of the season are against
so we got a while before we see the Vikings. But now the story going around is, do the Vikings, now you lose your best wide receiver, probably your best weapon. Do you just tank? Is it? No, I'm serious. There was talk of, now is it time, if you're the Vikings, you're sitting there at 1-4. Detroit's got 3 games up on you in the division. And 2 games above the next team, which is the Packers, 2.5.
Right.
Is it even possible to come back? Sure, it is. We saw the Lions go from 1-6 to 9-8 last year. But if you're the Vikings, do you just feel like, well, we can't win the division? Especially if Detroit keeps running away with it. Do we start kind of moving off of Kirk Cousins finally? Maybe slowly try to tank for, I don't know, a Caleb Williams, who played with our new wide receiver Addison that we got from USC. I don't know. There's some speculation. I just don't know if the Vikings would actually do that. I think they still got to decent enough team. I mean, they lost to the Chiefs by another one-score game, so it's reverse of last year where they won by one-score games last year. Now they're losing by one-score games this year. It's all kind of balancing out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Man, losing Justin Jefferson, I think for that team, that is a big, big hit.
Yeah. Yep. I think you're right on that. All right, let's move on to some college news. This story, I love this story. A deaf football team will try out a new system for signaling in plays to the quarterback. Division Three's Gallaudet University players will have a tiny heads-up display in their helmets and can read the play when it's sent in from the coach on the sidelines via a tablet. The NCAA has only approved the helmet for use in one game as a trial, and that is going to be this coming Saturday. Now, you may remember that Gallaudet College, back in 1894, their quarterback didn't want to risk the opponents looking in at their American Sign Language conversations. That was another deaf team, so they all knew the American Sign Language. So he gathered them around in a tight circle so that they could hide his hands from calling the play, and that was the birth of today's huddle.
So now, why has that not been a history lesson?
We might have done that.
You might have done it, but I mean, we do video history lessons. Well,
yeah, well,
not so much right now.
Now I'll have to do that as a video
I had
history
to
lesson.
backlog history lessons.
But I was reading about this. I found an article and I'm reading, and I was just fascinated by it. And I'm like, man, I'd love to see this. And then I realized there was actually a link to a YouTube video inside the article. So I clicked on that. It showed them using the helmet, showed what the helmet looked like, showed the little heads-up display. Comes down over one eye or something. But it's like clear glass, so they can look through it when it's not showing you the play. I posted the article, and then I posted the YouTube link as a separate link on our Facebook and Twitter feed. So go ahead and check those out. This is just awesome.
Very cool.
AT&T was behind it. It's like a super fast 5G, so that it's almost like instantaneous. The minute he picks out a play and hits send on his tablet, it's right there in everybody's helmet.
And I still have to take 10 minutes to download my email. Come on now, 5G.
But no, this is a very cool story. I don't know why the NCAA is having a problem with just testing it out for one game and whatnot. If it works, I say let every deaf team that plays out there use it. What's the big deal? So, but yeah, definitely check out the video on our YouTube and Facebook links. Let's see. A solar eclipse will be visible during college football games this Saturday, October 14th. Between noon and 2:30, depending where you are in the country, you might get a complete total eclipse or you might get a partial eclipse. Here in Michigan, I guess it's supposed to be around 35%. It's not a total eclipse, it'll be a partial eclipse. And I think in New Jersey, it's supposed to be 20%. But if you are down in South Texas, and it goes like a line from South Texas through Albuquerque, New Mexico, and on up into Eugene, Oregon, that is where 100%. It's going to be a 100% total eclipse. So that would be kind of weird. I mean, if you're not prepared for that, I know your mom and I went to go see an eclipse a few years ago down in Kentucky, and we had the glasses. We were prepared for it. This kind of came out of nowhere. So I think if people in the stadiums look up and they don't have the glasses on, it could be weird. They may have to stop the game in some of these places where the total eclipse is going to be. So, well, it might be before the game at that time, but the partial eclipse could still be going on, and that's the worst. I mean, if you're a total eclipse, you can look at with the naked eye, but these partial eclipse, you cannot. You could go blind. So that's when you need the glasses. So a lot of the country will see a partial eclipse. But I just think that's pretty cool. We're having another eclipse. The 100% area is going to be south of Fort Wayne next April. So I'm looking forward to going to that one too. The one your mom and I went to go see lasted for 1 minute, and it was the most awesome 1 minute I've ever experienced. And next year it's supposed to be like 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, right on.
So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Take the day off of work and go see that. I don't know what day of the week it is, but that's going to be cool. So yeah, total eclipse this weekend. We'll see how it affects some of the college football games. And lastly, this isn't really college news, but it's getting a lot of attention. Flag football is going to be an Olympic sport in 2028 at the LA Olympics. Now, I don't know if this is. I mean, it's being talked about. There's a lot of other ones like cricket and a few other games that they're talking about making them
Right.
Olympic sports. But I just don't see flag football as an Olympic sport. Come on,
Yeah, I mean, I get they're trying to grow the game of football,
of course.
especially internationally, and with it growing, hey, they play it in Canada, they play it over in Europe.
It's becoming very popular, just like soccer. But
Yep. So I
flag
just,
football just doesn't have the appeal of
I
an
just,
Olympic sport.
I just, yeah, it doesn't scream Olympic athlete when I
Right.
hear that. It's not the same as like, well, I mean, we do have people who just throw giant stones down an icy path and brush away ice with a broom. I mean, that's skill. I mean, I'm just kidding,
You're
Canada.
pissing off
I
everybody
love
in
watching
Canada
curling.
right
All right, I
now.
love watching. I don't understand it, but I love watching.
We have a curling club right here in Kalamazoo. Did you know that?
I think I did know that.
At Wing Stadium, yes. You can take curling lessons
Well,
right over there.
guess
if
what?
you
I'm
want.
not gonna. But
They've hosted some tournaments and stuff.
good for them. Let
I've
me know when
never-
it becomes a real
I've
sport.
never been to it, but
It seems fun.
it's big up in Canada, and
I'm sure it is. Hey, nothing against people. If you enjoy it, cool. But I mean, I like watching it. Like, don't get me wrong. But to make it an Olympic sport,
yeah,
just like I say with flag football, that's more for your Pro Bowl now. So what are we gonna do?
Oh,
Send Pro Bowl
yeah.
players over to the Olympics to
I don't
play
know.
flag football?
I have no
I
idea.
don't know either. But I don't know. It shouldn't be an Olympic sport. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that.
No,
Baseball shouldn't even be an Olympic sport.
Yeah.
Is baseball an Olympic sport? They play
think-
well, they got the World Series, well, not the. They got that World Tournament they do,
I
but
think that might be another one they're talking about.
Oh.
They might have done a baseball as an exhibition
wow.
a few years ago, and now they're talking about.
I don't know.
making
Why
it
can't we
official
just keep the
Olympic
Olympics?
sport. Yeah, just the track and field and some of the other stuff. But let's.
And I swear, if you guys
Not
throw
do some of that
pickleball
stuff.
into the
Oh, yeah.
Olympics, good lord.
90-year-old Olympic pickleball champion
See.
has a heart attack on the stand as they're playing his country's national anthem. Yeah, I don't think
Is it
so.
just because it's in America they decided to make it flag football? Otherwise, I mean, they might as well just start doing beer chugging and a bunch of other stuff that Americans do.
I don't know. All right, let's move on here. Arena football news. The Arena Football League announced several new teams the other day. The Rapid City Marshals, who are moving over from Champions Indoor Football, as well as a couple other teams from that league, the Southwest Kansas Storm, the Salina Liberty, the Wichita Regulators. I think they're a new team, but I think they were going to the CIF, and now they're going to be an arena team. And they're bringing back the Albany Firebirds, which I love. I love that
Didn't
idea.
we talk about them last week?
Well, we might have, but
Yeah.
but they were all in the last week or so. These are all the teams that
And they made it official. It wasn't
right.
because I think at that point we only saw the press conference from Albany, but no official league.
Right. Yeah. Since then, they've come out with an official press release about the.
And they also included one other team that'll play in Everett, Washington, which I guess is your next story. Real quick.
Yeah. Well, they put out a video with all these other teams: the Rapid City, the Kansas City Storm, the Salina Liberty, Wichita. They had a video that came from the Arena Football League talking about these new teams coming in. But Everett, Washington was listed a few weeks ago, and they didn't have a name for them.
Well, I mean, my favorite I saw somebody post was the Washington Arena football team, just like the Washington football team for the NFL.
That's terrible.
It's great.
It's funny, but it's a terrible name.
The Waft?
But no, they're having a name the team contest, and you have 4 choices to vote on, and I did vote earlier today. The Washington Wolfpack, the Washington Werewolves, the Washington Cascades, and the Washington Night Howlers. I voted for none of the above because that was an option, and
I haven't voted. I'm gonna vote for among those names. Give me the Werewolves. Give me unique, fun names. The Werewolves would be a cool arena. Come on, we got the. Oh, and you didn't mention that other arena team that they added to the arena list there, the Iowa Rampage.
Rampage, yeah. Well, they weren't included in the video.
Okay, that one.
So
Okay,
I'm,
maybe
I'm
they'll
holding off on that.
officially, but I'm pretty sure that's official too.
Yeah.
But anyway, like the Werewolves versus the Iowa Rampage. But don't even get me started on the Iowa Rampage. That's another rant waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But so I don't know if I like the fact that they're going to call them the Washington Wolfpack or the Washington Werewolves or the Washington whatevers, because when you hear Washington in your football team name, unless it's a college, you don't think of the state. You think of Washington
Washington,
D.C., and I think
D.C.
there'll be a little bit of confusion there. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it'll clear up on its own at some point. But I feel like you're in Everett. Why not stay the Everett Hawks or the
Yeah.
Everett something? Just name them after your city, like the state of Washington. No offense, like or the mid, or if you want to call them the Midwest or the Northwest, something or other. Like that'd be cool too.
Yeah.
But
That's my problem with the new arena teams and names is that I want
half of them have cowboy hats as logos.
no, well, that too, but I what I'm looking for is not something new. I'm looking for something old. I want the old Arena Football League with the old teams in the old cities with the old logos. I don't want this new crap. I want the old stuff. Give me the Philadelphia Soul.
Wow,
They've
he's so mad he's choking
I'm
on his
choked up.
own.
They mentioned the Philadelphia Soul. They haven't done that officially yet, but they've thrown out a new logo for them.
Yeah, that's
I hate that.
yeah. So
Hate it.
yeah. So other arena football stuff that came out. Tim Capper from Arena Fan did say because somebody posted, I think it's the official ArenaFootballUSA.com website, have the graphics with all the teams that have been announced so far, and they did post, and it was since taken down. Several teams that weren't announced just yet, including logos for what eventually we found out are the the Louisiana Voodoo,
Right.
the Chicago Rush, and the Philadelphia Soul, which they altered those logos
Right.
to why I don't know.
Terrible.
Terrible. The Rush one I'm not as mad about, but the Soul and the Voodoo just look terrible in my opinion. But then they had like a bunch of other teams also wearing cowboy hats. I do not know what this fascination with a bunch of teams with cowboy hats
Well,
is.
they're all out west.
I don't care. 2 cowboy hats is plenty. We have 8. It's unbelievable. It's half the league. But so I mean, we'll probably have to do a video at some point talking about a lot of this arena football stuff and get a lot of this off our chest.
So much is happening right
So
now.
much, and it's
You gotta
happening
wait for all
so
the dust to
constantly.
settle.
Yeah, we're kind of waiting for things to settle down because anytime I feel like we talk right now about what's happening, something's going to drop as soon as we're
Right,
done.
right.
But look, I wish Everett would just stick with Everett as their name instead of Washington. And if you're going to pick something, pick the Werewolves.
Everett Eagles. If you're not going to go with Everett Hawks, go with Everett Eagles.
Stay away from names that are NFL teams. Don't call them the Eagles.
Oh.
The Everett Hawks was great, but now you
Yeah.
got the Desert Hawks, so you probably can't do that.
Oh yeah, there you go.
So I don't know. You probably could have picked the Everett Empire. Shoot, there you go. The Everett Empire. Just steal from the National Arena League. They aren't using it anymore. So I don't know. They'll figure out a name. The Wolfpack. Man, that sounds like a college team. I mean, because they got
Yeah.
the Huskies up there in Washington.
Yeah.
And that would make me guess that their logo is going to be a husky. Like,
Well, right now, when I voted through a newspaper website where I found the article, they had their own
name
place
the team contest.
yeah, well, the place where you could vote, and so I said none of them, but and then it came back showing what everybody else voted on, and so far the Wolfpack name is leading the way with 25% saying yes.
I hate it. I hate it.
All right, let's move off of that. Today's birthdays: October 10th. Brett Perriman, wide receiver with the Lions, turns 58 today. He played his college football at Miami of Florida. He was selected in the second round of the 1988 NFL draft by the New Orleans Saints. He played 10 seasons in the NFL. He was with the Saints from 88 to 90. He was with the Detroit Lions from 91 to 96. And his last season of 1997 was spent with the Chiefs and the Dolphins. Man, you remember Brett Perriman. He was a great receiver.
He was great. Yeah.
But really enjoyed watching
And
him
his son
play.
has been in the league the last few years.
Yes, that's true. Let's see, another birthday today. Brett Favre turns 54 years old today. He played at Southern Mississippi and was also selected in the second round, but in the 1991 NFL draft by the Atlanta Falcons. He played 20 seasons in the NFL. He was with the Falcons for just one season in 1991. Was with the Packers from 92 to 2007. The Jets in 2008, and the Vikings in 2009 and 2010. He won Super Bowl 31 with the Packers, and he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2016. And finally, quarterback Geno Smith turns 33 years old today. He played his college football at West Virginia, and he also was selected in the second round, this time in the 2013 draft by the New York Jets. He's playing in his 10th season right now in the NFL. He was with the Jets from 2013 to 2016, the Giants in 2017, the LA Chargers in 2018, and he's been with the Seahawks since 2019. So yeah, three guys all picked in the second round for birthdays today. All right, so obituaries. We do have a couple today. This is where we take a moment and honor those who've made the world of football a better place. The first one is a big one. Dick Butkus, former linebacker in the NFL for 9 seasons, has died at the age of 80. Butkus played college football at Illinois and was selected with the third overall pick in the 1965 NFL draft by the Chicago Bears. He was also selected in the second round of the 1965 American Football League draft by the Denver Broncos. He signed with the Bears and played his entire career in Chicago from 1965 to 1974. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1979 and the College Football Hall of Fame in 1983. His number 51 has been retired by the Bears. You can't say enough about Dick Butkus.
Yeah.
This little obituary that we just read here does not tell you what this man meant to the NFL.
Man, to him, to the Bears fans especially. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw a lot of Thursday night the Bears jerseys.
Yeah.
People, I don't know if people knew because I feel like it happened during the game. Like right before the game, people were wearing Butkus jerseys, but I don't think that news came out till like.
I think it was in the afternoon before that game.
Was it? Because like I didn't see updates till like maybe like an hour before kickoff, maybe.
But yeah, if you're a young person out there that is not familiar with Dick Butkus,
Unbelievable talent.
go to YouTube,
Yep.
put in his name, and watch his highlights. My gosh,
He's a Hall of Famer
what a
for a
force.
reason. Yep. All right, and then our final obituary this week is that of, and if I get this wrong, stop me. Ove Johansson or Uwe?
I think it's just Ove.
Because I know there's a
I would just
movie
say
called
Ove.
crap, I forget it was Uwe. I want to say it's Uwe Johansson, a former kicker in the NFL and a record holder in college, passed away at the age of 85. Johansson played college football at Abilene Christian and holds the record for the longest field goal in NCAA history. He made a 69-yarder against East Texas State on October 16th, 1976. Randy was just a high schooler at that time.
That's right. That's my senior year.
He was selected in the 12th round of the 1977 NFL draft by the Houston Oilers. However, he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles and played one season with the team in 1977. We talked about this back in a history lesson on a previous podcast, episode 170. You got to go all the way back to November 10th of 2020 to hear Randy talk about that.
Yeah, I remember the minute I saw the name, I knew that we had done a history lesson on this guy.
And find out how you pronounce his name. Go back and listen and see how differently you pronounce his name.
I think I said Ove, or maybe Ove. Ove is probably
I want to say it's probably Uwe, but
yeah. Ove Johansson. Yep. Yeah, born in Sweden, came over here and
could have been Uwe.
barely spoke any English, but I think he met his wife at a football game. Very interesting story. All right, let's move on to finally the upcoming events calendar. Sunday, October 15th, Baltimore versus Tennessee from London. That's going to be a 9:30 a.m. game on the NFL Network. Saturday, October 28th, the CFL regular season comes to an end.
It's coming.
And Monday night, October 30th, the Raiders at the Lions Monday Night Football game. We will be there.
Yes. Why our event is on your calendar, everybody? I don't know.
I'm just throwing it in everybody's face. We're going to be there. I'm excited. All right. Anything else before?
No breaking news. Nothing really football wise that I've seen. I didn't really scour Twitter at all, looking for any arena football updates. But like I said, we're going to try to do an arena football video at some point in the near future once all the dust settles from the arena football.
When we
action.
finally know exactly the names and the cities, because there's just so much we don't know.
So much we don't know, and I mean speculation can be fun, but it could also be just frustrating because we've speculated for so long, and now it's just like it's all happening. Let it just play out.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can also like The World of Football on Facebook. Just do facebook.com/TWOF Kalamazoo. You can also find us on X, formerly known as Twitter. Just search for @TWOF Kalamazoo. And we now have an Instagram page. You can go over there where we post the great thumbnails that our staff puts together for all of our stuff. Just go to Instagram and also look for TWOF Kalamazoo. Very simple. New episodes of this podcast, the flagship show for the world of football, can be found on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast, to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. And you can also find on that same podcast feed, Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast hosted by yours truly and my brother-in-law, Kyle, who is always getting into some sort of shenanigans over there.
Shenanigans. I was going to bring up shenanigans.
Yes, he always has got something. Then we also have a few YouTube things we do. So go over to YouTube, search for the World of Football Kalamazoo in the YouTube search bar, or go to youtube.com/@theworldoffootball to find us. We have our weekly picks video there we talked about. We post the audio version of this show. We got a video version of our Just Lying Around with me and Kyle on the YouTube channel there. Haven't done any history lessons lately. As a one-man editing crew, I can only handle so much during a week, and our history lessons, I feel like are going to be on the back burner for a while as we focus on the NFL season and the picks. If I get time, I'll try to get out stuff Randy's got, but right now we're going to see if we can encourage Randy to start backlogging some videos to give himself a break later on when he does nothing but weekly history lessons. So if you get ahead of it now, you don't have to worry about it later.
True.
Yeah. All right. See, where am I at? I totally went off book. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us some feedback in the comments section of the YouTube video, even on the podcast platform, wherever you're listening. 5 stars would be great and much appreciated. It helps the show out. And let us know what you think. And please come be a part of the football conversation.
Yeah, we do have a lot of conversation. More like arguments, it seems like.
How dare you?
Seems like all we do is argue sometimes.
I mean,
but you love that.
I love it. I live for Tuesdays when I could say, "You're dumb. What are we talking about here?"
You rotten kid.
Oh, you rotten papa.
And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us sitting right here in Kalamazoo.
Well, okay, so wait, are we the two people only in Kalamazoo that like football the most, or like what's the geographic thing right here happening? You change this up.
We're the two.
So if everybody in Kalamazoo, we're the two most into football.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That makes sense. What about the world? Because we are technically the world of football.
Well, there might be other people in the world, but we're the ones in Kalamazoo that
I get that.
like it the most. Okay. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. I'm Randy Snow.
And this show's just going to keep going downhill.
Well, thank God it's over. We'll see you all next week.